You drink it every single day. It's in your cereal in the morning. It's in your coffee. It's in your cake, your cheese, your ice cream. Milk. It feels as natural as breathing, like something your body was always built for. But here is what almost no one knows. Most humans on Earth cannot actually digest it. Not slightly, not mildly. Their bodies treat milk like a foreign substance. Cramping, bloating, pain, every single time. And that number is not small. We are talking about roughly 65% of all humans alive today. That is billions of people. That might be your neighbor, your friend, maybe even you. Because here is the truth your biology teacher never told you. Your body was never designed to drink milk past childhood. That is the default setting of the human body. And most of humanity is still running that default. So the real question is not why we drink milk. The real question is, why do you? And the answer goes back 10,000 years to a single genetic accident, a random typo in someone's DNA. That changed the entire course of human civilization. Stay till the very end. Because the last part of this video, about what milk actually did to human history, will change how you see your own body forever. Let's start at the very beginning. Every single mammal on Earth produces milk for its young. Whales do it. Bats do it. Elephants, lions, dogs, and cats do it. Even humans do it. Milk is one of the oldest inventions in biology, 500 million years in the making. But there is one universal rule that every mammal follows. Every single one of them stops drinking milk after infancy. Everyone, without exception. A calf nurses from its mother for months. Then it stops. Forever. A lion cub drinks its mother's milk for weeks. Then it switches to meat, and it never looks back. No adult animal in the wild drinks milk. Not because it can't find any, because its body physically cannot process it anymore. And the reason comes down to one thing, a single enzyme called lactase. Every young mammal is born producing lactase. Lactase is the enzyme that breaks down lactose, the sugar found in milk, into simpler molecules the gut can absorb. Without lactase, lactose doesn't get broken down. It just sits in your gut. Undigested, fermenting, feeding bacteria that release gas and acids. And that is when the bloating starts, the cramps, the urgent need to find a bathroom. In almost every mammal, including most humans, the gene that produces lactase shuts off after weaning. Somewhere between age 2 and 5, your body makes a quiet decision. It says, you don't need this anymore, and it turns the enzyme off permanently. This is not a flaw. This is not a deficiency. This is the design. This is what billions of years of evolution decided was correct. So the person who drinks a glass of milk and feels nothing is not normal. They are the anomaly. They carry a mutation. And the story of how that mutation spread through the human species is one of the most remarkable survival stories ever told. It begins around 10,000 years ago, in the grasslands of what is now northern Europe, and separately in the open savannas of East Africa. Two different populations. Two different moments. The same accidental mutation. These early humans had begun domesticating cattle, not just for meat. They noticed something extraordinary. The animals kept producing milk. Long after their calves had been weaned, gallons of it, every single day. During a drought, when grain had failed and game was scarce, some of them tried drinking it. Most got sick immediately. Their bodies rejected it. But a small number felt nothing. A handful of individuals who, by pure genetic luck, had kept their lactase gene switched on past childhood. A single mutation. A single letter changed in a strand of DNA. And suddenly milk was not poison. It was food. Imagine what that meant. You are living 10,000 years ago. There is no grocery store, no preserved food, no refrigerator. The rains have stopped. The crops have died. People around you are starting to die of starvation. And right in front of you is a cow, not just for meat, which feeds you once, and then it is gone, but producing liters of fresh calories, every morning, every evening, day after day, fat, protein, calories, all from an animal that is still alive. For the person who could digest milk, that cow was not just food. It was survival. It was an endless food source in a world where everything else had run out. For everyone else, drinking it just made things worse. Pain and diarrhea on top of starvation. A terrible combination. Suddenly, in a world of famine, the people with the mutation had an enormous advantage. They survived. They had children. Those children inherited the mutation. And they survived too, and their children, and their children's children. Generation after generation, the gene spread. Scientists studying this mutation have found that it is one of the fastest spreading evolutionary adaptations ever recorded in the human genome. In just a few thousand years, which is the blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, lactase persistence swept through large populations in Northern Europe and certain East African herding communities. In some Scandinavian countries today, up to 96% of adults can digest milk without any problem. Because their ancestors who couldn't were simply less likely to survive. That is not history. That is your body. But here is something that surprises most people. If this mutation only happened in certain populations, why does the entire world have dairy products? Why is there cheese in Japan? Why is there butter in West Africa? Why is there yogurt in cultures that are almost entirely lactose intolerant? Because humans are clever. Cleverer than their own biology. Here is what early farmers discovered, without knowing any of the science. When you let milk sit and ferment, something changes. The bacteria that grow in fermented milk actually consume most of the lactose. They eat it. Which means by the time the milk has become yogurt, or cheese, or kefir, the substance that causes the problem is mostly gone. Ancient peoples who couldn't drink fresh milk could eat aged cheese without any pain at all. They had accidentally engineered around their own genetic limitation, and so dairy spread everywhere, not because everyone could drink it, but because humans found a way to make it work anyway. They always do. Now, back to the question you have probably had since the very beginning. We drink cow milk. We drink goat milk. Sheep milk. In Central Asia and Mongolia, people have been drinking fermented horse milk, called kumis, for thousands of years. But we do not drink dog milk. We do not drink cat milk. We do not drink pig milk. We do not drink elephant milk. Why? The answer is simpler than you might think. And it has almost nothing to do with taste. Every animal humans have ever consistently milked had one thing in common. They were already domesticated. They were large. They produced surplus milk beyond what their young needed. And critically, they were calm enough to let a human walk up and take it. Try milking a cat. A cat produces tiny amounts of milk. It would shred your hands before you got a teaspoon. A dog is the same. Pigs, which are actually docile and intelligent, produce so little milk that it is almost impossible to extract efficiently. A whale produces milk with the consistency of thick toothpaste, and you would be in the middle of the ocean trying to get it. But a cow stands still. A cow produces dozens of liters per day. A cow had already been living alongside humans for thousands of years. And over centuries of selective breeding, humans produced animals that gave even more milk than their ancestors ever did. The reason we drink cow milk is not because it is the most nutritious. It is not because it tastes the best. It is because the cow was there. It was manageable. It cooperated. And we spent 10,000 years reshaping it to cooperate even more. Now think about what all of this means for you specifically. You have been told your whole life that milk is natural, that it is essential for strong bones, that it is a foundational human food. But the truth is far more complicated than that. If your ancestors came from Northern Europe or from East African pastoralist communities, there is a high chance you carry the lactase persistence mutation. Milk feels natural to you because, for your lineage, evolution made it natural. It selected for it. It rewarded it. It is written into your cells. But if your ancestors were from East Asia, from most of West Africa, from indigenous communities across the Americas, the mutation almost certainly never occurred in your line. Milk was never part of your biological history, and your body may still know it. Roughly 90% of East Asian adults are lactose intolerant, around 70% of African Americans, 65 to 70% of the total global adult population. They are not broken. They are not missing something. They are the original human blueprint. They are what every one of us was before that one ancient accident in a drought-stricken grassland changed everything. And here's the part that stops you cold. The mutation happened because humans started keeping cattle. Humans started keeping cattle because they needed food. They needed food because the climate was shifting. The last ice age was ending, ecosystems were collapsing, ancient humans were scrambling to survive a changing world. Climate pressure forced domestication. Domestication created access to milk. A desperate attempt to eat something new created selection pressure for the mutation. The mutation spread because the people who had it survived. And the civilization those survivors built eventually put a carton of milk in your refrigerator. The glass of milk in your kitchen tonight is the end result of 10,000 years of human desperation, of drought, of starvation, of a single genetic accident in someone who was probably just hungry enough to try. You either inherited that story, or you didn't. Your DNA knows which one. And if you have ever walked away from a meal with unexplained bloating, if cheese sits fine but fresh milk doesn't, if you have quietly avoided dairy your whole life without fully knowing why, your body has been telling you the truth the entire time. You were never supposed to drink this. Most of humanity wasn't. And the fact that some of us can is not proof that milk is natural. It is proof that starvation is a very powerful teacher.